Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. The ship was only 4 or 5 meters long, and Yunxiao knew that it was only a shrunken form. When a mystic artifact reached this level, it could be turned into a mountain or reduced to dust. He stepped in first, Yifan followed behind. As his hands formed seals, Noah's ship turned into a beam of light and left from the end of the ancient evergreen tree, entering the Milky Way. Boom boom boom. When little Qing saw this, it finally retracted its power. The passage opened by the Tree of God suddenly collapsed. Young Emperor Hulian was only halfway there when he saw that the path in front of him had completely disappeared. He grew anxious and pointed out a finger. The power of the stars condensed and transformed into a light armor around him. He was about to charge into the void turbulence. A cloud of inconspicuous gray dust floated over in the void, and his body accidentally came into contact with it. The power of the stars was rapidly corroded, and in an instant there was not much left. Young Emperor Hulian turned pale with fright and hurriedly retreated from the void with a few flashes. At the same time, he condensed his Emperor Qi to shake off the stellar energy around him. The starlight armor that had left his body was quickly corroded into a ball of light before completely disappearing. Cold sweat broke out on young Emperor Hulian's forehead as he watched. The various unknown energies in this universe were too terrifying. He watched helplessly as the small boat sailed away with the wind. The two sides of the boat seemed to be sailing on the surface of water. It drew ripples and spread out to both sides, gradually turning into a small golden dot that was about to disappear into the starry sky. He was extremely anxious and took a deep breath. He condensed a powerful force and shot it out from his mouth, sending a sound wave far away. He only said 4 simple words, "Who are you?" Just when he thought that he would not get a reply and his face was filled with desolation, a melodious bell sound came from an endless distance, bringing with it the chuckling voice of a young man. The green blood and red heart turns into an iron cloak. The plum blossoms at the foot of the high firmament peak are thin. Young Emperor Hulian's body trembled, and 2 streams of tears flowed down uncontrollably. His vision was blurred, and he couldn't see anything clearly. Standing in the sky, he suddenly flung his long robe behind him and knelt down in the air, bowing deeply toward the distant starry sky. His action immediately shocked the people below, especially Tang Jia. His head was buzzing and he could not understand what was going on. He was a martial sovereign of the 9 heavens. Besides heaven and earth, who else could make them kneel? Sheng, on the other hand, was deep in thought. Qing's eyes narrowed slightly as it recalled Yunxiao's words. It seemed to come to a sudden realization, but there was an undisguisable shock in its eyes. The huge trees in the sky lost their profound qi and broke into pieces, falling from the sky. The surrounding trees and leaves also gradually withered at this moment, rapidly shrinking until they withered and died, turning into spring mud. The whole process was very fast. The forest-like tree body collapsed and disappeared, returning to the boundless demon land. The whole scene was very shocking, but during this period of time, everyone had experienced too many shocking things, and those who could survive were already crazy. They watched the Tree of God die without any expression. Boom boom boom. A loud boom came from the distance. A green light flew over at high speed. It was a netherworld warship. In a few moments, it had arrived in front of them. Several figures on the battleship directly soared into the sky and scattered in all directions. "Moo woo, where's Yunxiao?" one of them asked anxiously. These people were the reinforcements sent by the rookie mercenary group. Before entering the 4 Seasons barrier, Moo Wu's strength had been sealed by Li, so it was too dangerous to follow them, so Yunxiao had sent him back to report the situation. Hai Beifei immediately gathered all the experts and rushed over at the fastest speed. However, he did not expect that everything had already ended. Moo Wu's eyes turned cold as he stared at Sheng and the others. "I'll have to ask these demon race people." He paid more attention to Li. The seal in his body had not been broken yet. The feeling of going from a martial honor to someone who could not even trust a chicken was extremely uncomfortable. In an instant, all the members of the newbie mercenary group surrounded the demons and Tang Jia. There were actually 4 martial honors among them. The domains on their bodies were activated, suppressing Sheng and the rest. There was also Tao Can and Qi Guang. They were originally protecting Yifan, but Yifan suddenly turned into a ray of light and disappeared. They were so frightened that they had to search for him repeatedly before running over. When they saw the newbie mercenary group, they immediately went up to greet them. "Where's Li Yunxiao?" Ding Ling stepped forward and said angrily. Both her and Yunxiang's faces were extremely unsightly. They were the only living people around them, and Yuan Sun, who was not far away, was on the verge of death. There were also some signs of life. Other than that, there were no other survivors. Moreover, the ground was full of scars, clearly left behind by the battle. The damage caused by Hao Wang's punch was especially shocking. Both of their hearts tightened. They gritted their teeth and red lips, and their palms were sweating. A look of panic flashed across Tang Jie's face. He had just broken through to the rank of martial honor and was full of joy. He did not expect to encounter such a powerful enemy. With the current condition of this small demon, he simply did not have the strength to fight with others. "Everyone," he said immediately in a deep voice, "Li Yunxiao has gone to the ancient barons. We are not enemies." "Not an enemy." Mu Wu stared at him coldly, causing Tang Jie's hair to stand on end. He then sneered, "Don't believe him. Capture them all and interrogate them properly. Otherwise, none of them will speak the truth." Tang Jia was anxious. Just as he was about to struggle, a voice suddenly came from the high school. "He's right. Li Yunxiao Master has already gone to the ancient desolate land on the other side of the starry sky." Young Emperor Hao Lian's burly figure descended from the sky. His eyes were slightly red, but he could not hide the joy on his face as he landed on the ground. Guild leader. All the members of the mercenary group were shocked. Then, they looked at young Emperor Hao Lian in shock. The aura that he was currently emitting was completely different from before. They could not fathom it at all. Even his appearance seemed to have become more handsome, making him more masculine. There was only one possibility for this change, and that was that all the members of the rookie mercenary group were overjoyed and excited. Hai Beifei was so excited that he couldn't help but say, "Regimental Commander, you're already done, you're really done." N. Young Emperor Haolian, on the other hand, was much calmer. He only responded softly, then his eyes fell on Ding Ling. And Luo Yunxiang. A hint of surprise flashed through his eyes, and he smiled knowingly. "Where did these two girls come from? It seems that you've put in a lot of effort in your work while I was away." Hai Beifei's excited mood immediately turned cold. Seeing the lecherous look on young Emperor Hao Lian's face, he quickly stepped forward and said, "Captain, these two are Li Yunxiao's friends, and Li Yunxiao is our friend." You can't be." "Pa." A crisp slap was heard, and everyone was dumbfounded. Their mouths were wide open, big enough to fit a shoe. Young Emperor Haolian slapped his own mouth and strode over to Ding Ling. And Luo Yunxiang. With a nervous look on his face, he cupped his hands respectfully and stammered, "Madam Li, please excuse me. I'm just a person with a cheap mouth. I hope you don't blame me." This time, everyone felt dizzy, especially the martial artists of the rookie mercenary group. They all looked at each other and were all dumbfounded. Their leader had always been good at picking up girls. He convinced people with his domineering aura and appearance. If his flirting skills were ranked in the continent, he would definitely be one of the top 10 Casanova titles. None of the women he had his eyes on had ever escaped. Why did she suddenly become like a kitten? Tang Jia and the two men from the Hall of Holy Fire were also scared silly. They did not know about Hao Lian Xiaowang's flirting skills. When they saw a martial supreme slap them, their hearts twitched violently on the spot. They felt that what was happening in front of them was very unreal. Ding Ling and Luo Yunxiang blushed, but they did not blame him. Instead, they looked happy and shy. They were also smart people. From Haolian's words, they could tell that he had learned Yunxiao's identity. "Don't talk nonsense," Luo Yunxiang said. "We're just friends with young Master Yun. Did he go to the other side of the starry sky alone?" She raised her head and looked up at the sky, revealing a deeply worried expression. Tao Can and Qi Guang also perked up their ears. They were also very worried about Yi Fan's comfort. Yes, I went with a boy who was rowing a boat. Don't worry, young Emperor Hulian said, with that lord's abilities, he won't be in any danger. Luo Yunxiang and Ding Ling's expressions fell into his eyes. With his experience in the field of love, he immediately understood the subtle relationship between the three. Why don't you two ladies stay in my light song forest for a while? That lord will be back soon. He hadn't seen his master for so long, and it was the joy of being resurrected. He immediately decided to please these two masters' wives first. Ding Ling pondered for a moment and said, that's good too. Let's capture these people first. She pointed at Sheng and the others, and Tang Jie's expression changed immediately. Shang suddenly lifted his head and looked up at Qing, who was coldly watching from the sky like an outsider. Little Qing, I'm in trouble. Help me. Qing Zhu was stunned for a moment, then its face turned cold and it sneered, Shang, you're joking, right? I don't think you like to talk nonsense. Don't you know me? Shang smiled wryly. If you help us leave, I'll help you perform a simulation of the heavenly cycle of stars, the pinnacle of martial arts. Qing Zhu's body trembled in shock, but it quickly calmed down and sneered, your armillary sphere has been destroyed. How are you going to deduce the stars in the sky? It's just a damaged axis, it's not difficult to repair it, Shang said. Besides, I've also taken quite a bit of your body's profound qi, so it'll be very easy for you to recover. You should also understand how beneficial it is for you to derive the peak of the martial Tao. Shang's words were half true and half false. No one in the realm of heavenly martial arts could repair a damaged holy weapon, but he had said it so casually as if it was not a big deal. Qing Zhu hesitated for a moment. It was very clear that the demon clan's holy artifact, the armillary sphere, was not just a simple offensive, profound artifact. It contained all of the martial arts conception in it. If it was deduced to the extreme, it could even be the secret of the immortal state. Isn't it up to me to decide whether you can leave or not? Young Emperor Hulian's indifferent voice sounded. He coldly looked at little Qing and snorted. The two young ladies have already said that they will take you back. Don't even think about leaving. He didn't have a strong presence, but the atmosphere became heavy as he spoke. Qing's brows furrowed, he was already moved by Shang's words, young Emperor Hulian, give me some face and let them go. How about it? Give you face? Young Emperor Hulian's face was full of disdain, and his gaze gradually turned cold. He stared at little Qing and mocked, who do you think you are?